Tonight I wanted to read again from Dogen's Mana Shobogenzo. This is his collection of koans. And this is case 19. And it takes up one of the most famous phrases in the Zen world, which is ordinary mind is the way. Zhaozhou asked Nanquan, "What is the way?" Nanquan said, "Ordinary mind is the way." Zhaozhou said, "Shall I try to direct myself toward it?" Nanquan said, "If you try to direct yourself toward it, you will move away from it." Zhaozhou said, "If I don't try, how will I know it's the way?" Nanquan said, "The way is not concerned with knowing or not knowing. Knowing is illusion. Not knowing is blank consciousness. If you truly arrive at the great way of no trying, it will be like great emptiness, vast and clear. How can we speak of it in terms of affirming or negating?" Zhaozhou immediately realized the profound teaching. This, like so many koans, has a character that is a little bit ahead of us, and then there's another character who is supposed to be us, right? So we're Zhaozhou. Zhaozhou asked Nanquan, "What is the way?" And this is capital W, way, right? What is everything? What is Buddhism? What is the path? What is the meaning of the whole thing? How do I do it? And Nanquan said, ordinary mind is the way. Zhaozhou said, "Shall I try to direct myself toward it?" And this is where Zhaozhou is all of us. He was just told that ordinary mind is the way. Nanquan didn't make this obscure at all. He said it's ordinary. The ordinary mind is the way. And Zhaozhou hears this and he thinks, that sounds really special. I want some of that. How can I get some of that? How do I aim myself at that? And Nanquan said, if you try to direct yourself toward it, you'll move away from it. This is the tricky thing about talking about any of these things. It's just like when Dogen says, everything is Buddha nature. And immediately we think, because we're human beings, we think, oh, so it's in everything. So if I look at everything just right, I'll find the special part. I'll find the Buddha nature part because it's always there. But Dogen didn't say it's a layer. He didn't say it's an ingredient. He said it's everything. And if it really is everything, then that means you don't have to go looking for it, right? There's nothing to sift through. There's no toy at the bottom of this cereal box. It's just the whole thing. It's the box and it's the cereal and it's the toy. But Zhaozhou says what all of us are thinking. He says, shall I try to direct myself toward it? And Nanquan says, oh, no. If you try to direct yourself toward it, you'll move away from it. This becomes a conversation about, and there are different words we could use, but the word that I want to use is strategy. This is about strategizing. And something I think about a lot recently is that suffering so often is in direct proportion to strategizing. When we look at this moment, when we look at this encounter, when we look at this relationship, and we think, how can I manipulate this? That's when we step away, right? And when we step away, our own suffering, our own sense of gap increases. I think this is basically universal. Ordinary mind is ordinary mind. It's mind. But Nanquan says if you try to move toward it, if you try to fabricate it, if you try to manipulate it, if you try to shift your mind into seeing it in just the right way, you actually go the opposite direction. And we do this all the time. Right? We feel anxious and we think, I don't want to feel anxious. Right? We get angry and we think, I shouldn't feel angry. We go to a party and everybody's having fun and we think, I should be enjoying this more. And so we step away from the mind as it is. And we start to tinker. In the same way that we tinker with everything. Imagining that if we say just the right thing or do just the right thing, or withhold just the right thing, or time something just right, then it will go the way it's supposed to go. Or it will go my way. Zhaozhou hears this and he's confused, as he should be, and he says, but if I don't try, how will I know it's the way? So he's saying, I need to verify this, right? Essentially, he's saying, which is a fair point, if ordinary mind is the way, and the way is the thing that I'm seeking, how can I ever have the satisfaction of this if I don't ever locate it and I don't get to say, this is it, I found it, I know what this is now? If I can't do that, am I not always stuck where I am? Just here? It means there's no before and after. There's no here and there. The beginning and the end are the same. What do I do with that? And Nanquan replied, the way is not concerned with knowing or not knowing. We can hear this in two ways. One is that the way itself, as if it's out there, doesn't care if we know it's there or not. Right? The way is the way is the way, and the way doesn't notice if we're noticing it. Right? But the other way to read this is that the way as a path that we're following, that we're on, has nothing to do with knowing or not knowing. It has nothing to do with us recognizing something in the forest that we've been looking for. The forest is just the forest. The path is the path. Nanquan continues, knowing is illusion. Not knowing is blank consciousness. So even if you know, he's saying, you know, you don't really know. You've just narrowed it down to something that you can understand. But not knowing, and he's not using not knowing in that Zen sense that we often do. He's saying not knowing about it is just empty. It's not one of these things. It's not something that you get or you don't get. If you truly arrive at the great way of no trying, That is, of not strategizing, of not fabricating, of not chasing. If you truly arrive at the great way of no trying, it will be like great emptiness, vast and clear. How can we speak of it in terms of affirming or negating? How can we talk about something so fundamental, so constantly present, so easy, as something that's there or not there, as something that is recognized or not recognized, active or inactive? It's just there. And then Zhaozhou hears this and he realizes the profound teaching, because that's always the way it is. But we might not. Maybe not today. And as happens in other Zen stories, we might have another moment, a moment when we aren't trying, when we aren't strategizing, and things seem complete and they seem whole. And then we catch ourselves and we say, oh, this is ordinary mind. I found it, guys. I found ordinary mind. And then immediately we've put it in a box and we've separated it from everything else. We've made it portable and understandable to us and small. There's a question in all of this. A really profound question, and we don't have to think about this in cosmic terms. You know, when we see the way with the capital W, I think sometimes we start thinking really big scale, the whole picture. But within this is something more personal. Which is the question, can you trust your mind as it is? Your mind, not the mind. Not some mind that exists out there, but the mind as you experience the mind. Can you trust your experience of the world? Can you trust what you're seeing? Without second guessing it, without second guessing yourself, without thinking, I need to add more. Without thinking, I'm missing something. Without thinking, I could do this a little bit better. If my mind were a little bit better. If my mind were a little bit clearer. If I were fill in the blank. Can we trust the mind? And in doing so, can we trust what we see? Because what the mind does is it tries to shape. We see something that we like, and then we wrap a story around what we like. We see something we don't like, and we wrap a story about what we don't like and what it should be instead. That too is strategizing. That too is a manipulation. Can we trust that first thing that we receive as being true? Probably not so easily, right? But Nanquan is saying that within that trust, within that faith in how we are, there's something profound, something vast that opens up when we let go. It's really beautiful, and it comes out in this really simple phrase, and it undermines everything that we do. Everything. Most of us, from morning till night, which is pretty good. And I'll stop there.